All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Leo, and welcome to our Uplift Presentation. We love you, and we're glad you're here. By way of introduction, I experienced a serious faith crisis years ago and have returned to full belief. Uplift is a beautiful and inspiring place for me, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy to include with me tonight a few of my dear friends, fellow admins on the Uplift admin team. We're going to go through and introduce ourselves briefly, and then we'll continue on through the slides, and hopefully we can come together and bless each other through this presentation. We're going to start off having Amanda introduce herself. Amanda, do you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Amanda Friedman. I have been with Uplift since for a little over a year. So in 2017, started experiencing a pretty significant faith crisis. And in the beginning of 2018, I was blessed enough to come across a video, an interview that Leo did with Patrick Mason. It was by chance on YouTube autoplay that I came across this video and learned about Uplift and the goals of Uplift to help build faith, especially with people experiencing faith crisis. So as I joined Uplift, I was able to gain a lot of tools to help me through my faith crisis and help me start to rebuild my faith in Jesus Christ. So now I admin at the group, and I also admin the Uplift Women's group.
All right, thanks, Amanda. Next, we have Dañiela.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Dañiela Mera Prey, to be correct. I did keep my maiden name. And I've been with Uplift, I think since April. I was actually referred here by one of my friends, Martha Keys, and I, at the time, was struggling with some things that had happened in my personal life and was looking for support with faith, and was also looking to grow my faith. To provide context, I live in Mexico, near Mexico City, actually, and I don't have a lot of people to talk about these things with. The people that I live near are mostly not aware of some of the problems that I think are a bit more prominent in the US, and as well, sometimes connecting in another language can be challenging, and so I didn't always have the vocabulary or the confidence to reach out to people. And so when I found Uplift, it was like a wonderful experience for me because I was able to find other people to have hard conversations with. I became an admin shortly after I found Uplift, and currently I am an admin in the main group. I help moderate sometimes. I'm also an admin with Amanda for women's group, and Martha and I together help out with the mixed faith families group, where we deal with issues related to people who have family members who leave the church. So
Thanks, Dañiela. Thanks for being here. All right, next up we'll have Kara Dawson.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kara Dawson. I'm from New Zealand. I'm obviously not American. But it's really good to be involved with Uplift, and I feel, as Dañiela has said, I found it really difficult to find people in this part of the world to connect with over faith issues. A lot of people here have very simple faith, which is a great thing, but they're not inclined to dig into issues and to discuss difficult things. And as a gospel doctrine teacher, I tried to encourage discussion about difficult issues, but there was almost a cultural feeling that shouldn't happen. So just a little bit about me. I have 3 children, and 2 of them are adults. One is a teenager. I've never really had a major faith crisis, but ever since I was a teenager, I've been very interested in digging into issues intellectually as well as spiritually. And I've got several friends who have had major faith crises, and some of whom have left the church. And so I'm really keen to help people, especially on this side of the world, to work through faith issues and to return to faith. I'm a volunteer with Fair Mormon, and I often answer questions that come through the Fair Mormon website. So yeah, I've learned a lot from both from Fair Mormon and from Uplift about how to help people in faith crisis. I'm also the coordinator of the small groups in Uplift. So if we have people who need particular ministering, who have issues that are better discussed in a small group, then I'm happy to put together a small group for them to help to nurture and to minister to their particular issues.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Kara. All right, and then Roseanne, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Roseanne Service, and that is my real last name. I live in Arizona, and I've been married for 21 years. And a little bit about me, I have 5 kids, ages 20 to 10. And I'm a business owner. My husband and I have owned a sign company for 16 years. I've been a PTO president, stake primary president, assistant district commissioner for the Boy Scouts of America. And my husband and I, for about 5 to 6 years, we ran a drum and bugle corps in downtown Phoenix to keep kids off the streets of Phoenix. I mostly right now am just an admin and also a motivational speaker. And the reason I got in with Uplift is I was actually speaking at the LDS Digital Ministering Conference online. And right after I was speaking, Leo was speaking, and I just watched everything that Leo had done and said, and I really just felt so drawn to Uplift, especially after seeing the slides. And so I'm excited to be working here, and I think I've been volunteering with you guys since about March. And I also admin for other pages as well, like LDS Scout Leaders or LDS Children and Youth Initiative Group and things like that. But this is what I love to do. I'm the project manager and I help with admissions here, and I'm excited to help out today.
Thank you. All right, I think that's everyone on our list, and we'll have other admin coming through the presentation, different spots. Will help with presenting, and so watch for other names, and for those who have been with us already in the first part of this will hopefully come back and and help us with the rest of the presentation. So this is a long process, and it'll be a long presentation broken out into many videos. Of course, if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns, anybody that's listening to this or special needs, anything that we can do to bless you and to love you, please let us know. We're here for you, and we're excited to go through this together. So I'll go ahead and move on to our next slide here. So this next slide is just a quick mission statement by way of questions. So we ask people, do you feel like you need a hug? Do you have questions and are experiencing doubt, or someone that you love is experiencing doubt? So if any of these things here apply to you or to someone you love, that's what Uplift is for. Anybody want to talk about how this this group, this community, Uplift, has helped you personally or has helped someone else you know? Have people felt loved in Uplift? That's our goal, is to help people to feel like they have family outside of the regular family. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I think it's been a wonderful community for me, and also for a few people that I have joined up to Uplift, and everyone who I've been communicating with has found really a lot of value in Uplift because of the sense of community. And people come to Uplift with different backgrounds, different opinions. People can learn from each other's perspectives, and that's what I really value about Uplift.
Thank you, Kara. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
A few recent people I have sent to Uplift are some very dear friends of mine, some of which have family members who have left the church recently. within varying status of leaving as well. Some have removed their names, some are just choosing not to attend at this moment. And then another friend who recently went through a very tragic divorce. And so as I've talked to these people, I think it's been really helpful for them to come from places where perhaps they feel quite isolated in their faith, and it provides a place for them to maybe sort through some of the things that they've had to hear or deal with as family members have left, things that they might not understand, and it provides a very non-judgmental community. For myself, I think Uplift was crucial because at that time I had a lot of questions that I felt I was getting answers to on my own. For the admins that I work with, they know that I read and I listen and I watch, and I can consume quite a large amount of material in a relatively short period of time. And having like a sounding board, I'm not sure exactly how to call it, to bounce off and to say, okay, well, what about this? And to have people roll in opinions and to talk about people these things with people who are already familiar with the issues was absolutely excellent. It helped me to feel the spirit in a way that I hadn't in a long time. And it helped me to sort through my own problems, and from the experiences I've had with my friends, it has been a good place for them to have a safe haven in some ways, and also a way for them to maybe rebuild areas of their testimony that they feel have been waning.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Dañiela.
Leo, I was wondering, so I get asked about Uplift constantly. People stop me at church all the time. They ask me. And so they say, is this sponsored by the church? And then I have to answer that question. And so I think this would be a perfect opportunity for you to just take a brief moment and explain like how Uplift came to be.
Yeah, that's a good, I think that's a good question to answer. So long story short, we've been in business, been operating in a Facebook group setting for 2 years. It was a product of not anything special on my behalf from me, but a good friend of mine mentioned that he'd like to discuss topics outside of church. And we were right there next to the bishop at an activity, and we asked him and said, hey, Bishop, can we meet outside of church to talk about just here in our area, in our ward here in Dallas, Texas? And the bishop gave us another approval, said, sure, go ahead. And he trusted both of us. And it was before in general conference when Elder Cook encouraged us to have study groups outside of church. And so kind of a miracle that in our good bishop, he's a wonderful man, but I would say he's fairly conservative in a lot of ways. And so I was actually surprised, but pleased that we could study things outside of church. So I brought Fair Mormon articles to our gatherings there. And it was mostly in my home. And we had a lot of people starting to join us over time. And the ideas started to flow to both my friend Kyle and I on how to make it better. And it was a lot of inspiration, again, not anything special on our behalf, on our part. It was just, I think the Lord wanted us to find people and reach out to people with love and help people who are struggling. And we had people in our area here who were struggling. And I personally struggled for a long time with my faith. And so it was the balm of Gilead for me to be able to talk to people in my ward boundaries. But anyway, so long story short, again, just it kept growing, and we started having scholars join us over a video conference to talk to us in our area here, and eventually created the group on Facebook, and then people started joining. So we're not affiliated with the church officially, really unofficially. I have met with my local leaders to tell them what I'm doing so that they can seek revelation on my behalf, on our behalf. And I encourage everybody who ever starts a group like this or any kind of support community to stay in close contact with your church leaders. Show them that you trust them and that you sustain them. And I've tried to do that. And I've mentioned a couple times to my local leaders, my bishop and my stake presidency, as I've presented what we've been doing, and said, hey, if you feel like we need to shut this down because it's causing problems, if you have any wind of that, please, and you feel like the Lord's asking you as my priesthood leader to have us shut this down, I will ask for that to be done. And so I want, we're independent, completely independent from the church, but we are supportive. We want to support anybody, any faith tradition, actually, any good religious tradition who believes in a good God. We're not about supporting people who are believing in dark gods or other very strange beliefs, but any good religious belief where people are trying to fight for that belief, we want to support these people, and especially support members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So that's a long answer, but that's kind of the history there.
I love it. That's kind of what we're looking for, just so that people understand that this is very pro-church, because I think there's a lot of people out there parading right now who look like they're pro-church, that they're absolutely positive in uplifting, but then they actually turn out to be deconstructive. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was made apparent, that this is 100% uplifting. That's what it is.
Yeah, we are focused on building faith in God. Our next slide, I'll skip to that now. The bottom bullet there you can see, but building faith in God is one of our most important purposes, and also God, we mean primarily Jesus Christ. So we believe in Jesus Christ in our group. We open the doors for people to share testimony about him, of his reality, his divinity, and never is that looked down upon in Uplift. So we're definitely pro Jesus Christ and pro God and pro faith. So anyway, yeah, this is our community, listening and learning. Any thoughts about listening and learning, that first bullet? How does Uplift fulfill that part of the mission?
Yeah, sure. So I think that there's a lot of, I've been in a lot of faith-based Facebook groups, and listening is not a priority in very many of those that I've been in. And I've left a lot of Facebook groups. I've stayed in Uplift far longer than any other Facebook group where religion is being discussed, because at Uplift we really do encourage listening to each other and understanding each other's perspectives, and I think that's one of the most valuable things. I've really especially benefited from people who have studied the gospel in a scholarly way and have, just to give a little bit of background, my grandparents are the pioneers in our family in the church. So they joined the church, my grandmother in 1949 when she was pregnant with my mother, and my grandfather in 1952, 3 years later. So my grandmother joined the church because she was because as soon as she heard the message of the missionaries, she felt the Spirit, and she was almost instantly converted without really knowing much about the doctrine. But my grandfather took 3 years to join the church because he needed to study out all of the issues. So I feel that both of those approaches have come down to me. So for me, I need to have an intellectual understanding, which is what I get from a lot of members of Uplift. But I also need that faith-based approach as well. And so for me, Uplift gives the balance between both of those. And as I listen to people's testimonies and their scholarly justification of faith as well, then both help to strengthen me.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you.
To add just a little bit to what Kara said as well about listening, I think when you have an online community, period, once it starts to grow larger and larger, you get quite a variety of people from a lot of different backgrounds. And that's something that I have been firsthand witness to in Uplift. We have people that come that have recently joined the church. We just had a Q&A with Brett McDonald a few days ago, and there was an investigator there, and he left a message saying like, hey, as a gay investigator, this has been very interesting. Thank you for providing this. I also know that we have members of the LGBTQ community. We have members who are the only member in their family, or perhaps people who have returned to faith. We have scholars. We have people that struggle in marriages, or their parents have left, or their children have left. And I value those different perspectives. I love to see the way that people are living the gospel in real time. And I also love the way that Uplift shares resources and thoughts and processes. One of the things that we cover a lot in our group is, how do we work through issues? What is good thinking? How do we know what we know? And I think it takes a lot of patience to listen to that. Recently, I was listening to something related to our mission of Uplift, and it was a lawyer, and he was talking about how we are always having to constantly evaluate our assumptions, and then understand why we have those assumptions, and then understand why they're good assumptions. And that takes a lot of humility, that takes a lot of self-reflection, and that takes a lot of listening. Because when I came here, there were some things I thought, oh, how could somebody think differently than this? On various issues. And now that I have learned more and listened more, but also participated, I understand that perspective more, and in some cases have changed my perspective, and in other cases haven't, but still respect the perspectives of others.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Dañiela. That's wonderful. Any other thoughts there? Yeah, I mean, we don't have an emphasis on preaching. We do share testimony, but it's always done gently if we can. We try to be meek and gentle, and not shy away from sharing what we believe. That's always important, but to do it in a way where you're sharing in order to learn, because as we share, we want to see how people respond and learn from them, and it's a nice big feedback loop. So that mindset of priority of I'm listening and learning, even from people who come in to preach, to proselytize either for or against the church or for or against faith. We have people that come in and do it a lot of different ways, very direct, sometimes very indirect. They use rhetorical questions, for example, to preach something. I've learned from these people, and I think a lot of us have learned. We've learned so much, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these people don't want to learn from us in return. But so with this mindset, it's so important for us in Uplift. It's what we are founded on, to listen and learn to each other, to be open and show true empathy by really wanting to dive into what the other person's seeing and feeling and thinking, trying to get in each other's hearts and minds, to really understand each other. And that's a good way to become one. So we're trying to become one through Christ by listening and learning to each other. And doubt is a challenging thing to understand. Doubt. Any thoughts there, Roseanne? How are we going about that in Uplift? How do we understand doubt?
I feel like for me that this was the whole reason I came to Uplift, was to understand doubts. Because even though I've had major moments where I had like a big doubt, I always felt patience. So like when I had the brain tumor and I went through all of that, or when I had the aneurysm surgery, or whatever it was that I went through that was a very big thing, every time I would hit a wall of doubt, I would always just inherently be patient and wait for understanding. And so I didn't always understand how other people were processing doubt until I came here. And I realized that not everybody does the things that I do. And so I was finally able to like expand my horizon. In fact, in the short time that I've been here, because it's not even been a year, I have learned so much. I have learned so incredibly much that I could almost just start tearing up at the amazing amount of understanding that I did not have before. I just didn't have a clue. Some of the things that I was even saying to people as we would discuss people who've fallen away, I had no idea what I was saying because I didn't understand them. And now I look back on that and I'm absolutely horrified, but I'm so grateful for the knowledge of understanding how these things happen. And people will ask me questions like, well, what do you think, what starts somebody down the wrong path, right? Like people can have that labeled. And what starts somebody to lose their faith? And now I have a lot of different ideas that I never would have thought of before. And I'm able to offer things, and people are asking for my opinion on that kind of stuff. And I haven't even been here a year. So it tells you how much knowledge that you guys have already accumulated and disseminated to us, to where we're just getting instantly fed constantly through real people. You know, that's the beauty of this. We're talking to real people. We'll go into chat rooms and talk with real people who are struggling. So it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk a lot about doubt, but I try to normalize it a little bit, especially so people that are doubting don't feel ashamed and feel alone. We don't encourage doubt, but we definitely want to understand it, and we want to help people to patiently work through it. It's a normal part of life, and you know, I've suffered from it, but I've also learned a lot from it too. And so I've also been blessed, not by doubt necessarily directly, but because of Christ, he's allowed me to see clearly through the doubt. And I'm so grateful for that. And then the last bullet point is building faith in God. Obviously, that's our primary objective. We want people to come in and to build faith, to strengthen their faith in God, and to help others to do the same. And so if we have someone come in from it's an interfaith effort, Uplift is. And so if we have people coming in from different faith traditions other than the Latter-day Saint tradition, we want to rejoice in their pursuit of faith in God, whatever that means for them. We want to uplift people in their path